is familiar with the career of Terry Ryan.
And here we are. Welcome, ladies and gents, boys and girls, to another episode of Live Q&A with Tales with the TRs. It is Monday, and it's good to be back. Oh, one sec. Remind me later on that one. In hockey code, senior, what's the worst thing you can do to a player on the ice? Dirty play. In hockey code. What do you think? So I guess.
Well, I think the obvious is to, the unwritten rule. I think is not to take anyone, blindside anyone, from behind anyone, because it can lead to a serious injury. And to me, it's not a fighter, not going in the corner with a guy even 6'4", 240, and he just cranks you with his shoulder. That's part of the game, but. It's coming around the net and the guy just blindsides you and you don't have the pucks, stuff like that. I think that's an unwritten law.
But it all happens. So in hockey code, that's a really vague question. But I would think here's two things. Hockey code. I wouldn't chirp somebody and say anything about their mother or their girlfriend or their wife. I guess that would be.
In my day, that was never done. No. Like that today's game, yes, never
Sean
ever
Avery,
have I heard of it.
Do it.
Yeah, never ever in my game.
Matthew Barnaby wouldn't.
No,
with lots of chirps from Barnaby.
Yes,
I'm just trying to give you the two different.
Yeah, no question. Yeah,
Avery tends to break the hockey code.
Yeah,
another one would be like hit a guy when he's down, but when you're fighting. But it does happen.
That's a good one. Yeah.
It does happen, but it really
in any generation you don't do it.
And usually, even if I watched the other night, like it happened, but you'll really let up. It's more for the momentum of the crowd at that point.
Yeah,
like when I used to get in fights, I'd be like, "What's the point of being in this?" The point for me is to, if it's just a random fight, is to get the crowd behind me. So I don't really need to hurt the guy. So once he's down, though, I'd always go. It looks good. Maybe hit him in the back of the head with oops.
Yes.
Right, with a couple off the noggin, but I would never try to hurt somebody if he was defensive.
Not to have someone sprawled out in front of you on the ice and just come from the top straight into his face. You don't do that.
Yeah, but if someone was, if you were new to the sport and you were watching, you would say, well, isn't that the point to win the fight? But that is no, you'd have to say, no, there's a code not to do that.
That's a code.
Yeah, there you go. Senior, have you ever played in the Hardy Cup?
Hardy Cup, I think that's
the
intermediate.
I'll tell you too.
It's
the Senior B.
That's Port Basque when they won the Hardy Cup.
It's a little bit better than
no, never in the Hardy. I was in the Allen Cup 3-4 times.
Do you know what? I played 2 games in the Hardy Cup.
How was that?
I don't know if you can remember this.
No.
When we were in Quesnel, can you remember they hosted it?
The Kangaroos. Yes.
And it was like it was a play down.
Okay.
And
to go outside. Okay.
Spence played a few games.
Yeah.
Grand Forks came up. And back in the day, Port Basque. Now I've told this story. Newfoundland has great senior hockey. Back in the day, for whatever reason, we won in 85-86. We won the Allen Cup. I was 8 years old, but whatever. Won the Newfoundland won the Allen Cup. Well, just a few years later, they went, for some reason, they couldn't go to the Allen. I don't know the reason, but it was in the news. So they went to the Hardy Cup, the Senior B. They had Mario Roberge, who the next season, so this would have been 1991, I guess, went to the Montreal Canadiens. 2 years later, he had a Stanley Cup. And they had a guy, Bill McDougall. And Bill McDougall was in Newfoundland Senior League, I swear to you. And the next year, he went and he set the record in the American Hockey League points in the playoffs, 16 games, 52 points. Look it up. So we are familiar, but haven't seen her. You played in Allen Cup too.
Allen Cup.
I played in 2 Allen Cups.
I played in Thunder Bay. I played in Sarnia, and I played in. One was in Newfoundland. We got the host Thunder Bay, and we knocked them off in Newfoundland. Then we went up on the mainland to play. But I think it was about 3.
Yeah, I've not that you asked. I've in the Allen Cup. I've lost in the final twice, and one was in double overtime. Killer, but it was a great, looking back, it's an awesome memory. TR, would love to hear more about your partying at the charity golf tournament. Where you drops off immediately. That was I do a golf tournaments. Senior, you've been up for a lot of golf tournaments in PEI. First of all, a lot of good friends, and usually it's the Boys and Girls Club, and I think it was that weekend, but I've done them here and there. I got a lot of really good friends there. So when they call, I usually answer. So, and it's a good time. But that was Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And I know when I go to those things, whoever bids for me to go with them knows that, part of it is that I'm going to drink with them. So, I'm not like Anne Murray goes to those things. And, she's a legend. People ask her, I'm sure, about songs and music the whole time. But usually it's people that I've come across in the past that are like, TR's here. Let's get him in our group. There's usually one so-called celebrity, but whatever for each hole. So there's 18 people auctioned off or however they do it. So those are always a wicked time.
Either way, at the end of it all, you're gassed.
There's no way around it. There's absolutely no way around it.
Absolutely not.
And the ones in PEI where there's sardines and beers at one hole, and then there'll be like crackers and cheese and wine at another.
Everything. And I didn't golf.
Yeah.
Because as you know, I don't golf, but I enjoy walking around with the guys while I'm walking, having a beer.
Senior came to Brad Richards golf tournament. Yeah, that was a great time.
I love going out with the guy, and I love, believe it or not, I love walking a golf course because I'm a big walker anyway, and I find most golf courses are beautiful. I just love walking.
I'm the same, but we're both competitive. But for some reason, I get out there. I'm not very good, and I don't have I do too many other things in the summer
hopeless.
to really get. Yeah,
not very good is 10 steps.
But I do like
getting
out. Yeah. Why are we so bad and good at other sports?
I always played baseball in the summers growing up.
But if you play baseball, soccer,
I got really good hand-eye. I should be able to hit it, but I never got into it.
Yeah, for me, it's an adventure. Like I might miss the ball.
Yeah, I never got into it enough to take it seriously because I think it's a very, very frustrating sport.
Yeah,
and I didn't want to experience the frustration, so I just laugh it off, and I'd rather go around with you guys and experience it that way.
Ricky Molson, fill us in on your vehicle in Red Deer and any notable cars you bought with the NHL dough. Senior, what are some wicked? I did have some good cars. The one in Red Deer, I had a.
Well, you had it was a nice one.
Truck. I jacked it up.
But you had the. It was
a bay rig. We call it around here.
No, the sports car, the all black
Corvette.
That was nice.
Was the nicest of them.
That was really nice.
When I first signed. And again, I didn't. You don't know anything about money, or I imagine this. I had a financial advisor, and
who was advising you to spend it all. I know.
He didn't really advise me anything.
Oh, he didn't.
He really didn't.
You were paying him a fair amount.
And now you're gonna laugh at this, but which is kind of the point. But my first couple of vehicles, because I bought myself a Camaro. Okay, I think you get tax money. I didn't even know about tax. I didn't know. Montreal's 58% tax or something at the time. So, I'm dealing with real money. I could have leased one. I could have bought one that was a year or two old. I really honestly figured, this is going to be not, anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. So I went out, first thing when I signed, I bought a Camaro, and I just figured it's a middle of the road. It's a nice sports car. It's not going into camp bling bling. I'm a first rounder. It's a nice sports car. It's not a, Ferrari. So I got that. And then I called and Danny Cleary's father is a car salesman. I got him to put a cherry red Jeep Cherokee in the
Yeah.
driveway for my parents.
Forever being dead there,
Right?
Terry. I couldn't
Well-
believe it when knock came on the door and the guy handed me keys. I didn't know what he was talking about. He
Yeah, it
said,
was a good
"That's
day.
your red Grand Cherokee in the driveway." Wow, that was extremely nice.
But looking back, and and that was, geez, we didn't go away. I wouldn't have had the opportunity. But someone could have even advised me there. I didn't know, not that it was up to Kevin, it was my financial advisor, and he didn't say anything about that. So, and then from there, I remember a couple of years later, I'm like, I always wanted a Corvette, so I traded in the Camaro and a nice black Corvette. When I played in the United States, when I played in Colorado Springs, I needed a vehicle for the year. I remember, and I got a 1972 orange Mercury Cougar. You missed that, I think.
I think so.
Yeah, you missed it. You came right at the.
But you also had a brand new Durango.
Yeah, I had a nice Durango,
which you needed a
driving
shell oil behind it.
Yeah, same thing down there. But when I was in Colorado, driving down the sports car in Colorado Springs is, there's mountains there, but it's the desert. It's
just beautiful.
Yeah, it's similar. We just got back from Las Vegas. It's similar to that. What's she saying?
No, she just gave me to end the podcast. Give peace a chance.
Yeah, she's gotta.
Absolutely.
It's just throw you right off. She's got to say something. We're talking about mom. Mom has to have something to say about everything. Andrew Howarth, Sr., do you remember a Wayne Peters?
Wayne Peters?
Yeah.
The name Peters certainly rings a bell. I don't know about Wayne. The name Peters definitely rings a bell. If it's spelled Peters, I think it is. I don't know where I would have played against him, but I never played with him. I'm pretty sure of that. I have to know one other piece of information.
I'll look it up. Wayne Peters. I don't even see.
Pete Peters, I played against him in Philadelphia's farm club in Milwaukee, Milwaukee Admirals.
I know.
He was a goaltender. So
one Wayne Peters here, Portage Terriers. No, that wouldn't have been it.
I don't think so. What's his date of birth? That'd be the key.
Yeah, but it's still not. It wouldn't
no,
be the same
no,
guy.
it wouldn't have been. No,
don't see one, unless it was the Newfoundland Senior League. And
no, I don't think so.
I don't think so. I don't know Wayne Peters. Do you play golf or any other sports in your spare time? For me, yeah, the answer is yes. I grew up playing a lot of ball hockey, baseball, and soccer. Pretty intense, and for me, ice hockey, baseball, soccer, ball hockey. I've gone to the nationals in each of those sports, as three of them as an adult as well. I loved soccer, but it just didn't go hand in hand with hockey training, and a lot of people. There was a lot of eyes on it, so it was easy to get an ankle injury. I didn't really talk about ball hockey much. Now it's all good. People train. At the time, it was a bit of a faux pas to play ball hockey. If I'd gone up to Montreal and said, I rolled my ankle playing in the Monday Pond League, I think I would have gotten a hard time for that. But now it's part of training. People get injured. That's the way it goes. Now, Senior, of course, I'm not sure if you've heard the story, but Senior, they ask about other sports. Why don't you tell them about your baseball?
Well, baseball. I always, growing up, it was, with me at least, hockey and baseball in the summer. Never really got into tennis. A couple of my buddies did. And I never really got into golf, even though where I grew up, we had a nice golf course in Grand Falls. And but I just didn't get into it. And because I was, when you're a kid growing up, you take your glove 8 in the morning, you wouldn't come back till 6 in the evening. So I was playing baseball all day.
But didn't you play a bunch of other sports? Like I got these articles. It was just whatever was in school, you played it.
Well, in track and field, I was big in that too. Yeah, but
I would never.
They had that during in the spring in the schools. They never had it in the summer where I was. But I competed in Central Newfoundland track and field. Yeah.
But so you didn't train? You were just like, hey, I run, so I might as well.
But back then there was no training for it. You just got you kept in shape anyway because you didn't allow yourself to put on weight. You were so active.
I'll show you. Senior, you used to shoot slap shots off the plywood, wouldn't you?
That's one thing I used to do.
I got pictures of this in the
I used to
summer,
go
him
up-
on the grass with
up
his shorts
behind
on.
the my school, St. Michael's High School in Grand Falls, and I'd take a bucket full of pucks and take about a 5-foot square of linoleum, and I get so far back from the fence, so because you wouldn't be putting them over, and I'd stay there for hours, just taking wrist shots, snap shots, slap shots into the fence, pick them up, bring them back. What a lot of people did, but that's it. It helped improve my shot for sure. I'm sure it did, and you just like the NHLers do now, pick out targets on you'd have a spot in the fence which would represent a net, and you go top corner, bottom corner, whatever.
Who were you just like thinking? So when you were a kid, then coming up, like who would you? It would have been a whole different ballgame. You couldn't see people on TV if you didn't have one. There
No.
wasn't as many games on TV.
No.
There's only a few teams playing. So who would you go out and people go like, I'm him? Like, would you go, I'm Rocket Richard when you were playing as a kid?
My favorite player growing up, because I sort of based my game on him, was Davy Keon for the Leafs. And he was, I was sort of fast, not as fast, obviously, as fast as Keon, but he had good puck handling. And I based my game growing up would have been based on, because I wasn't big enough to overpower anyone. I never had an overpowering shot, though accurate. And in close, I could really snap it from the hash marks, but in close, but I could really snap it there. But I never had a shot to beat anyone from inside the blue line. So I had to work on accuracy. So I worked. That's the one thing that I practice repeatedly.
Interesting. I'm feel the same as a shooter. Like I how Ride shoots it like a snapshot from the top of the circle.
Yes.
But then again, his wrists are big.
No question. There's always something.
But yeah.
There's always something, and I remember that these people that can. I always
Michael
wondered,
Ryder was saying, everybody here from Newfoundland, what a shot.
I used to look
as you must know.
I used to look at when we played junior Canadians, a guy named Richard Martin.
Yeah,
he ended up Perreault went number 1 year. The next year, Martin goes number 4, goes on Perreault's line. He was no more than 175, maybe 5'10", but what a shot! And you just couldn't believe, like, where's he getting it from? With Lafleur, I remember when I was with you, I remember shaking hands with Lafleur, and he had really big hands. So
Bobby Hull, man.
I could understand Lafleur's, the big hands, the strength in the hands. Hull was more to his whole body, his arms and wrists. Yeah, with just
wrists. I find
just a superb specimen. So I could see it with him. But Martin, I couldn't even shots big as me, but he could shoot a rocket in the NHL. He scored 60. But I mean, there's something special. They either got really strong hands or wrists or whatever. And a lot of it, of course, is timing. The shooters will tell you it's all timing.
No, I hear you. Club name in EASHL. You're talking about the video game. I haven't played that in a couple months. The boys still got it. What's the name of their team? I can't remember. I can't. I go back and forth. I'm playing Red Dead Redemption now more often than not. I'm loving it. It's a nice break. I love hockey, by the way, but I find it hard to go on and play the hockey video game when I'm dealing with hockey all day long. And it's interesting. So I like to watch at night. I love the storylines I mean, coming into the playoffs. Like this time is where it really picks up for me. I love watching hockey. I'm playing it. I'm going into my own Herder playoffs. Those Newfoundlanders know exactly what I'm talking about. Those outside the province, it's a really coveted. It's the biggest, oldest senior hockey trophy in Canada, I believe. But it's senior hockey playoffs. So we're looking to do that. And outside of that, everybody else's playoffs is going on. So I like to go and watch my buddy's kids or the local junior team, whatever it might be. So I just at this time of year, I take a break from the video game hockey. I like going up, and it's the 1880s, and I'm up in the mountains fishing and hunting and
With Cyclone
shooting,
Taylor.
whatever it would be. This game, Red Dead Redemption, it's wild.
Yeah.
So when I showed you, when you come in and I'm cowboy, and I like to be a cowboy. Terry, describe the best NHL fight you've been in, and who was your opponent? Well, I mean, the best opponent, not that you asked, would have been Domi, of course. Three fights against Ty Domi. Although I got 16. I looked the other day, if you count exhibition, of 16 NHL fights. And for all of those, I only remember one guy and that was Grant Ledyard. And I don't know if he fought. Every other one was someone that, at the very least, it was like Bob Bugner, someone like that. That
I
could
think
fight.
Ledyard was a big defenseman, wasn't he?
He was
Big guy.
But I remember, I looked down after
Washington Capitals.
Afterwards, you're like, hey, he was priced down. I looked down, he had like 32 penalty minutes. So I was like, he's not as tough as I thought.
Washington Capitals.
But he played.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
But you didn't ask me that. I guess you said the best NHL fight you've been in. Well, you can find them on YouTube.
Yeah,
there's three: Cam Russell, Todd Harvey, Matthew Barnaby, and Bob Bugner. Four of them are really similar. Todd Harvey was great because Wayne Gretzky was out there, and
that went the longest for sure.
That was a long.
Oh
one.
boy, that went.
And we were like the same kind of player and
too.
the same kind of fighter, and I knew it, and I love it because he skated. You know, you remember certain things about it. I was stationary, and he kind of came like
into your strength. You both complemented one another as fighters.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah,
we were standing at the hash marks for the draw, and again I was stationary, and he came like kind of floating in. He just kind of glided in and landed like right next to me, and he just looked over, and he said, "Hey, my parents." I think it was either his mom or his dad, but I thought he said, "My parents are from Belle Island. You want to have a scrap?" And I'm like, "Sure, let's do it." And he was really fighting to keep a spot on that team, and I was doing the same thing. So we both knew what was up. We weren't going to hold anything back. We knew it, and I think he knew, and I knew that we were the same kind of fighter. I wasn't going to knock him out with one punch, and he wasn't going to do the same thing. But we were going to stand in there and throw, and that was probably my favorite. Again, because Wayne Gretzky was there, and he talked about it after. But the Cam Russell, well, that was memorable. Bob Probert was on the ice for that one. And the Burnaby and the Bugner, they were both in the same game. It was Hockey Night in Canada, and I got the Hockey Night in Canada interview afterwards with Ron and Don. It was only a 1-0 game. I had a couple fights. I hit the post on a breakaway in Hasek. So that was a great memory, too. It's funny that, those, the NHL fights all stand out for one reason or another. And there was another wicked one, and I can't find it, Senior. I know it's here somewhere. I fought Ty Jones when he was with Chicago.
Ty Jones, yeah.
We went toe-to-toe and back again. And
you used to fight him in Spokane, too.
He
went to,
fought him in the end.
He was Mike's client, too. He went
Mike Barnett,
He went number 10 the next year.
I knew as much. He was playing for Chicago, and he was coming out of Spokane Chiefs.
And a southpaw.
He could play. He was a big guy.
Yeah, he was a big guy.
We went at it, and
it was a dandy. It was. And Mike Ware was a good one,
Steve Leach.
Yeah, God,
that was another one.
That we forgot about.
All my NHL fights are actually pretty good.
Mike Ware was a good fight.
No wonder people.
Twice you fought Mike Ware.
Jeff
Ware. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Jeff Ware. Yeah.
For the Leafs.
Yeah, he was a big guy.
He was a big guy.
But the other, everybody else was an act. It was only Ware and Doug Huda that I fought. Fought Huda too.
There's another one. So you started off with 4. Now there's about 10.
Yeah, I know. They're all similar.
Right? Yeah,
all similar. And sorry, I go down memory lane sometimes because until I'm asked the question, it doesn't really ever crop up in my mind. Hello, have you lost a fight and then won in a rematch? I don't know. I mean, I lost lots of fights. My personal fights tended to go. I didn't go down. I rarely went down. I rarely put anybody down, but it did happen. I honestly, take it as you will. Most of my fights were pretty even. If I will give myself credit for one thing, is that I knew how to lose. I knew if I was fighting a tough guy that I definitely wasn't going to I knew how to wrap him up and still, because again, it's about momentum for the most part, unless someone runs your goalie and you got a death wish or, usually, it's, you're at home, it's 3-2, the fans are there, like something got to give these people a spark. So if I grab, I don't know, God, who, Wade Belak, it's a bad example, I guess, grab Wade Belak, but it did happen. It's on YouTube. Check it out.
Yeah.
Right, I knew it.
There's only 3 that I've seen you go down on. One was Belak, 6'5".
But I got up for that one.
Yeah, you
and
did.
Kept going.
And the big kid who played in the Quebec League, about 6'8".
Peter
Worrell, and
there was another
6'8", and Bill Armstrong for the Providence Reds.
Yeah,
but that was your third fight. But he was a big
yeah,
guy too.
But that one, even you could. There was one more, and there was where it was like one punching down. It was
all the others were like you like not everyone, but you love to go toe to toe, and whoever goes down.
Yeah,
first
because
goes down.
Well, I could take a punch, and I knew
could.
that, right?
Yeah.
I knew that,
and you could throw.
So when you can do that, though, like Barnaby would be perfect for me, right? Because we're the same kind of fighter. We both like it. So those guys I would come across a lot. But when I hit the American League more than anything, my role as a fighter changed. I was always, each team I went to, I was a fighter to some degree. Tri-Cities, they're probably going, you don't need to do it as much. And in Fredericton, I had Michel Therrien, and it was like, hey, do whatever you want. So, and there wasn't as many. All of our tough guys were out for some reason or another. Jerry Fleming only played 10 games that year when I came in. So my opponents started to get a lot tougher. So then I figured out how to fight big guys. And like I said, not lose.
But you had 32 that year. Woo.
34.
That's a lot of tilts.
Yeah. Terry, did you ever think about going the NCAA route? If so, what school would you have wanted to play for? For me, yeah, I did. And it was that, wasn't it Yale called me?
No, Harvard.
Harvard, was it?
Yeah.
So they'd called me to go to prep school.
Yeah,
right?
they tried to recruit you in Quesnel.
Teams stayed away for the most part because I had my decision made pretty early. No, but senior, I remember because I was going to go to Cambridge Winterhawks.
Yeah.
Again,
Galt Cambridge.
I went to Quesnel, and people, that was quite it was unique what happened. I played junior at 14, and going to Quesnel, it was a bit foggy. I thought maybe I'd try midget. I might play a bit of junior, but I was going to play junior anyway because I was going to play in Cambridge for the Winterhawks. They're in Ontario, and the way I remember it, Tri-City they could guarantee a lot more earlier because I didn't have to wait. You can get drafted when you're 14 in the Western League, whereas in the O, Cambridge wanted me to go there, but then I would have been anybody's pick.
Yeah.
And Tri-City could easily say, look, if we don't draft you, then you've had a year out here, and you wait and see. You'd be better anyway. We'll put you up there, right? We'll set you up with this, and if we don't draft you, then no harm done. So they did, and that's the way it went. But NCAA, I would have thought. I always say, people say one or the other. What do you think, NCAA or major junior? Each situation's different, and it really is. Back then, if you were any kind of a blue chip prospect, I think you would have picked major junior.
Back then, I remember Barnett said to me, he said the top, like first rounders for the most part, they don't go yet.
Look, the game changed. A lot of things happened for that. Player after player came from there. It's just like the Quebec League. Nobody went from there until Sidney Crosby, right? They didn't win the Memorial Cup for like 20 years, but Sidney Crosby went, and then they opened up to all the maritime teams. The maritime Atlantic Canada used to be the American Hockey League more than anything. Then they opened, for whatever reason, they took the junior. Now there's all kinds of kids from Atlantic Canada playing in there. It used to be, for the most part, Quebec. Right, if you're from Newfoundland, you'd go up and try out.
It changed the whole makeup.
Changed everything, and now it's very legit. There's more Americans playing. There's more. Like I said, you can trip over your bottom lip as an old school Canadian, or you can just go, let's see how this adapts. And now the WHL can still win. It's one of the best leagues in the world. I think the three of them now are there's more parity amongst them. Back in the day, like I said, but Kamloops won the Memorial Cup 3 of 5 years. I was in junior, 3 of the 5.
In your day, it was all West. Right now, I think you have to give them their due. I think over the last 10 years, the Quebec League may have won a Royal Cup more
And
than anyone.
The other thing is the Quebec League got a whole new territory because
They did.
Atlantic Canadians
did.
didn't play in it.
It really made a difference.
Mike Gilly
Yeah.
did. Like
They
if you didn't
siphoned
work
off
with you'd go
4
to the O
provinces.
first.
Yeah.
And then
That's
a lot of guys
deal.
were still playing here because no
Yeah.
one left. There was no scouting,
No.
right? If you think about it, not that you asked, I went and then Slaney a few years before me, and people thought that was a one-off. And then I go away, and then first thing when I went, they asked my dad, well, he's like, well, Danny Cleary and Harold Druken. Now, so that one thing leads to another without telling those stories. Now all of a sudden people are going, 4 of the last picks from Newfoundland are first and second rounders. So then all of us, there was all kinds of other players playing. My dad coached that team that won the Atlantics. A few of them would have been in the queue if it was today's.
Oh, without a doubt.
If it was the same format.
Absolutely.
So it evolved, right? Like anything. But
Yeah.
the question was NCAA. It was. I flirted with the idea because any player, I still say, you come to me at a hockey school, a lot of parents, and they say, what does Joey have to do to make the NHL? I'm like, scratch NHL. That would be great. What does little Joey have to do to get a free education? Way more realistic, way more, because there's Canadian colleges, there's major junior, there's partial scholarships, there's Division III, there's all kinds of places you can go. Now, on the way, if you realize you're a big prospect and you can make the NHL, great. But I think the first thing on everybody's mind should be schooling, which you can get through major junior. I'm just saying. Of course, it crossed my mind. But when you're a huge prospect, especially back then, it was in one ear and out the other, to be honest. I wanted to play major junior and get drafted like 99% of the people I looked up to. Now it would be different. Who was a player you guys wish you could have played with during your NHL, your pro hockey career? Senior, who would you have wished
in my day now,
in
or
your
now,
day,
or just in my day?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I would think because he's the best that I encountered, and he was so beautiful to look at. I said, "Wow, this guy is Perreault."
Joe, I was going to say
it was. People have no idea how good Gilles Perreault was. He scored, I think, 520 goals in Buffalo, where he could take games off, and they would, if he had played in Montreal or Toronto, where you really can't take games off because the fans are too knowledgeable, he would have scored at least 100 more. But
his stats were crazy as it was. People just don't remember because he was a Buffalo
he was
Sabre.
the type of guy that
not a Montreal Canadian or a Toronto
no,
Maple Leaf.
but he was the type of guy who was really laid back. God, how many times did I see him in Montreal Forum go end to end against us, score a goal and just skate to the bench, no big deal, mates be mobbing him, and he just took it just so nonchalantly, and that was his character. But he was so talented. It was really, and just a beautiful. I think he was the closest thing. I didn't play with or against Beliveau, but George Faulkner would know Beliveau because George played for Shawinigan Falls, a predecessor of me. And he was as close to Beliveau, I think, as you could get. And the irony being, he's also from Victoriaville, Quebec, where Beliveau was from.
Wow. Okay. I met Beliveau a couple times. And that's another story in itself. But
check out Team Canada 72 when he takes it, and he wasn't.
No, yeah.
He goes end to end. The Russians couldn't stop Perreault.
He
was one of the last guys that would go. You don't see it anymore. Players going end to end, going around guys. That's what Perreault.
But you know what? Someone brought this up to me recently, and it's not only that he played in Buffalo because they didn't have as many TV games. So we see even Guy Lafleur, we only see so many highlights because every game wasn't like now you're going to see the best highlights of Connor McDavid. You're not going to miss a goal forever. You're going to see every single best play, just like pretty much Lemieux and Gretzky. I mean, they did play the odd game in Minnesota that you won't get the highlights, but for the most part, we see all those. But the further you go back, like no wonder you see a lot of Boston or Bobby Orr, and you see a lot of the Canadians because they were winning all the time, and they were on TV in the playoffs. And like Lafleur, you see that goal against Boston. But if they weren't in that game, point is Gilbert Perreault was a great player, but unless you watch his biography on YouTube,
Kids today wouldn't
you would never
realize how
see
good
it.
he was. No,
Right? But you
You
would come
wouldn't.
across Guy Lafleur.
yeah,
Right? You'd come across it at some point. You would
Yes.
come across it on YouTube
yes.
with NHL's top goals, but you would not come across you might not even come across Marcel Dion.
You might not.
Right? LA Kings back then. But think of the highlights from the 70s are all games that meant something, right? Because those were the games that were televised, right? But I mean, you didn't even see every game in the Canada Cup. Anyway, not that you asked, but that to your point about Gilles Perreault,
To me,
we
he
would
was.
see
Yeah, he was.
for me, you would think I would say Jerome McGinley, but I did play with Jerome McGinley, to be honest, and I played with him at the under 17. Got a jersey up there and pointing right at it.
Yeah.
At
Val-d'Or, Quebec.
World Championship in
Noranda Val-d'Or.
Yeah, it was myself for at least 2 games. I don't remember, but I remember Josh Green and Jerome McGinley on my line because I really liked that. Those guys are big and they're good in the corners. Yeah, Iggy was way faster than people think he was because he looks. Yeah. He looked like Bambi on ice at the time because he still wasn't thick, but he was always fast. People say, "Oh, he improved." He did improve, but he was always fast. And the answer though would be, who would I want to? Eric Lindros. There's no doubt in my era, because people forget, and he played those last few years as a pale shadow of himself, and he was closer to real. Like for me, Lemieux and Gretzky were jaw dropping like heroes as kids, and they were nearing the end. But when I first came, my first game was against the Legion of Doom. Look that up if you don't know. Leclerc, Renberg, and Lindros, all huge. And they had they had Desjardins and Samuelson back there. I remember going, holy shit. Yeah. And they were like all 6'4" and 6'5", like that I was out against a couple times that night. But they were big, they were good, and they made the final. Again, people forget that. Eric Lindros was the MVP in 94-95, big year for me. So I looked up to that. I was coming into the league as a power forward, and Eric Lindros was MVP, and they made the final. They lost, but they were in the final. Yeah. Like they were, God, if you like I said.
He took them there too, single-handed. Well, right. I mean, he's in the Hall of Fame, and he's probably played 900 games. And that's unusual.
And the last 200 were just, I'm trying to be a third liner, help the team out.
Yeah, he probably played
Dallas and
7
Toronto.
really, really good years.
Yeah. And then another thing.
That good, yeah.
1991 Canada Cup. He hadn't played a game in the NHL yet. He was on the team, and he rocked everything, and he came 4th in scoring. That's one to watch, the 91 Canada Cup.
Yeah.
Did your coach tell you off when you had bad plays and fights? You're probably referring to Michel Therrien.
Depends on the coach too. You got, I guess, yeah.
Andrew looks.
That goes without saying. Every coach is going to lay into you if you made a super play, I think.
Yeah,
if you made at any level, in any time, if you can't make bonehead plays that cost your game, and the coach is going to ignore it. I don't think he's doing his job.
You know what? I think that's human nature. You can rip away all the window dressing, and you can make it as liberal as you want, and you could walk in there and not have the curse and swear, and we could get to a point that everybody has a force field on their face, and there's no but you're always going to have to be fairly forceful about mistakes, or you're not going to learn.
Terry, but hockey is a game of passion, so it's got to come to the fore.
Yeah, it's got to. I mean, now there's a way to do it. Bob Laux, there, he was a coach of mine in the WHL, and he was pretty passionate. I'm surprised he didn't get up and do more, get a bigger chance in pro. He coached in like the Western Professional League, and they won, but whatever. It's just like playing. You got to get a bit of a break if you're not just an absolute superstar coming in. Same thing coaching, but Bob was like as stern as you could possibly be.
He was
without being an asshole.
I liked him for that. He was a real old time.
But
he was
totally got it.
That's right. Because you
think of all the good guys on our team that we had that never had a problem.
No,
right?
You respected them,
right? But you could. Yeah, there's a way to be stern and not be an asshole. Really, there's an art to doing that. Yes. There really is.
It's called being a good coach. There's a way to do it.
You're right. Well, did you see John Cooper the other night? Lost his mind, got thrown out again. He's a fairly calm guy. Must be. I've heard great things.
No, but some coaches do it and make a point too. Yeah. You know that.
Terry, have you ever played in Campbellton, New Brunswick? No, I haven't. Have you? I've been there.
No.
We did a hockey school tour there. You didn't play baseball there?
in Campbell. No, I played New Brunswick. We played the Nationals in Chatham. Chatham, the Twin Cities, I think is Chatham. Do you go over the bridge? What's the other? Chatham, Windsor, or
Where?
in New Brunswick? There's like a twin. You go over the bridge and you're in.
Yeah, I'm not sure in Chatham.
Yeah, no, I only played one.
Who's your favorite BC-born hockey player? Sorry to cut you off, senior. That you've played with, or that you've watched play. Favorite BC? Well, I'll give you two BC-born hockey players that I love: Steve Yzerman and Joe Sakic. Nepean will take credit for Steve Yzerman, but he played until he was 13 or 14 in Cranbrook.
Yeah.
Now there's two. I
Tough
mean,
to lose on those.
Whew. BC. When I was out there, all the rage when I was playing Junior A in BC was Paul Correa. He was playing, and someone asked me recently, tough players that don't look tough. He got hammered by Scott Stevens in one of those crazy videos. He came back and scored their winner in OT. So there are people, just kids. So every time I say the word tough, I'm not necessarily.
No,
I mean, sometimes
mean a fight. No,
Peter Forsberg.
That's right.
Look, it's a little aged now, that reference, but if anybody out there is curious and you've heard the name, type in Peter Forsberg highlights. That's how to be tough without.
You don't need to. No, you can. I mean, to help your team, but you don't need all you need basically is like you can be Darren Fleury, go 5'6", but he played gutsy and he made you pay. You knew players that played against Darren Fleury knew if they did him in any way that Fleury was going to get him at some point, whether it's going to be with a stick or whatever. So he built up the respect. You've got to have, I guess it's old time guts. It's just called guts. It's easier said than done.
I was as intimidated. I get it. What's the word? I'm not saying I sat there intimidated because and I'm not trying to be like macho when I say it, because some players I think were like scared out of the building. That was never me. There was a nervous energy, but I was as aware of Brendan Witt as being a good hitter as Wade Belak fighting. It's not like, to me, be aware of Witt. I don't care if he grabs me. He's a big hitter. So what I'm saying is toughness. Mark Messier, I don't know if I ever saw him drop his gloves, but if you're on the other team, you'd be like, you fucking deal with Messier, because he'd be tough in other ways, like cross-check you in the face or hit you at center or elbow you. Yeah. Right? So there's ways to make an impact. Yeah. Did your mom play or coach hockey? Good question. My mom doesn't get enough credit. For me, I'll answer the first part of that.
She was on the bench all the time as a water woman.
Always.
Or whatever.
Well, first of all, she did the scheduling for minor hockey. So she's a big reason.
Yeah.
Dad would be coaching the junior team. So she would give them the last hours of the day. So then afterwards, me and my buddies could stay on the ice and skate around.
She went to every practice, Terry, every game, every
she
practice.
Did. She was the general manager of she was the manager of my minor hockey all-star teams always. Same thing with baseball, whether it was treasurer, organizer. My mom was definitely around sports, my sports life, more than my dad, to be honest.
Without a doubt. She was always on the bench, but never coached or anything. But if Durham needed his coach, need to get a water bottle, she get all that for you and open and close.
You were still playing
open and close the door.
The information I got from my dad sports-wise, he was playing baseball, so I'd go to the games. So and you learn a lot just being around there, and then coaching the junior team. So it's not like Dad came to all my practices or anything, but Mom, my grandfather, he was at a lot of them. My mom was always around. But I guess speaking of Mom, final thoughts. I will say, so I wish that she'd just come on camera sometime. So she's often, what's the word? I get frustrated, but she wants to have her input. So she brought down a thing and she said, give peace a chance. That's what she wanted to say.
It's a nice thing
today.
To say at the end of the podcast.
It's nice. Yes, it certainly is. And she doesn't get enough credit.
No,
and she wanted to say that for the Ukraine.
Yes.
Mom's just getting into Facebook like we got into it 15 years ago. So she's, what's the word? Not cause and effect, but she responds to a lot of humanitarian causes, and it's nice to see somebody so engaged with the world, I guess. So rather than get frustrated, should probably more often say, thanks, Mom, whatever it would be. So that's what she wanted to say, and I'm leaving you guys with that.
And
give peace a chance.
And I'm going to peace a chance, and I'm going to put in mine from Elvis Costello. What's so funny about peace, love, and understanding?
From Elvis Costello.
That's it.
What's so funny about peace, love, and understanding? Okay. It's been a blast again.
It's
We'll
been
see you guys
wonderful.
in a week from an hour and a half ago.